Hi, I hope you're doing well. Gosh, I almost feel like I could walk into a bank and ask for money and get away with it. Well, I hope you're doing okay and still wearing your mask. It's important, and especially with all of the smoke out there, be careful when you're out walking around because there's still a lot of particulates in the air. And if you're out driving, you need to be careful because a motorist was mailed a picture of his car speeding through an automated radar. $100 speeding ticket was included. Being cute, he sent the police department a picture of a $100 bill. Police responded with another mailed photo, handcuffs. Well, do you remember when the Israelites were freed from Egypt and Moses was leading them out towards the Red Sea and they had come up against the Red Sea? I want to read to you a little bit that kind of struck to me and the Lord put it on my heart. I found a few things pretty interesting in Exodus chapter 12, and I'm only going to read a couple verses 10 to 14. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up and there the Egyptians were marching on them. They were terrified. They cried out, "Lord!" They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us out to the desert to die?" Remember, Moses was there. "What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone'?" Wow. "Let us serve the Egyptians." They were getting beat up. They were tough days. "It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Whew, a lot of complaining in those few verses. Moses answered, though, "Don't be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord and what he will bring today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again." Pretty confident. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. That's what we need to do too, is be still. We need that kind of trust today, don't we? In this situation, in our country, as well as this COVID virus. The Lord will fight for you, though. You need only to be still. When you feel you're trapped, you need only to call on God to intervene. We may not be being chased by an army, but we may still feel trapped. Instead of giving up, we should do as Moses did. Stand firm and watch for the deliverance of the Lord. That's what I'm looking for and praying for. And here's how I'm praying. We want to be thankful. Lord, thank you for our country, but deliver our country from its unrest. Lord, thank you for doctors and healthcare workers and scientists, but Lord, deliver us from this virus. Lord, thank you for the police who keep the peace, but Lord, help us to be civil. And Lord, thank you for their service. Lord, thank you for the freedoms of this country, but help this country to elect good and godly leaders in this next election. Lord, thank you for my home. Help me to make a home where we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. You can make that your prayer today. I know many of you are prayer warriors. A lot of you on the prayer chain. Continue to do that and continue to pray. David said in Psalm 27:13, "I am still confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." That means this life. David was obviously going through trials, but he was confident that in this present life, God would see him through it. And God will see us through it as well. I pray that for all of you. Here's some important facts to remember. I'm going back to the jokes. Death is the number one killer in the world. And remember, life is sexually transmitted. Good health is merely the slowest possible rate at which we can die. You've heard the story. If you give a person a fish, you feed them for a day. You've heard that, right? What's the next line? Teach a person to use the internet and they won't bother you for weeks, months, and possibly years unless you give them your email address. Yeah. Health nuts are going to feel stupid someday, lying in a hospital bed, dying of nothing. All of us could use a lesson from the weather. It pays no attention to criticism. In the 60s, people took LSD to make the world weird. Now the world is weird and people take Prozac and Xanax to make it normal. Life changes, doesn't it? But life is like a jar of jalapeno peppers. What you do today may be a burning issue tomorrow. Okay, I got a couple blonde jokes. Hang with me. A blonde and her husband are lying in bed listening to the next door neighbor's dog. It's been barking out in their backyard for hours and hours. The blonde finally jumps out of bed and says, "I've had enough of this," and she goes downstairs. The blonde finally comes back to bed and her husband said, "The dog's still barking. What have you been doing?" Well, blonde says, "Well, I put the dog in our backyard. Let's see how they like it." Returning home from work, a blonde was shocked to find her husband's house ransacked and burglarized. She telephoned the police at once to report the crime. The police dispatcher broadcast the call on the radio, and the canine unit patrolling nearby was the first to respond. As the canine officer approached the house with his dog on the leash, the blonde ran out on the porch, shuddered at the sight of the policeman and her dog. Then she sat down on the steps, put her face in her hands, and she moaned, "I come home to find all my possessions stolen, my house ransacked, and some things broken, and I call the police for help, and what do? They send me a blind policeman." Well, thanks for listening to the video and at least going all the way through. I remind you, we do have a Facebook page, Compass Senior Adult Ministry. All you have to do is search for it. You can check it out. There's some nice positive sayings on there, and I post these videos on there as well. We will again have a service outside on Sunday morning at 10:30. It will be cooler, and that's your forecast for next Sunday. There'll be some low clouds around at least, and there will be sunshine, but at least it's going to be cooler than it was this last Sunday. It was good to see so many of you. Now, have a great week. Take care. God bless you. And don't get any speeding tickets. All right?